Congratulations! You got the home that you wanted. I'm so happy for you. You're kind of freaking out now, like, oh no, what did AD do? Listen, calm down. We're in the third part in a 3-part series, things to know before buying a house. Let's go. Hi, it's AD, Anand Tioris, eXp Realty. eXp Realty, ta-da! A proud local Chicago realtor serving the city of Chicago and the surrounding neighborhoods. And we're at now, not technically the final step, but the final step basically in getting the contract. You got the contract, we're in what's called the attorney inspection review. For purposes of buying a home, I like to kind of consolidate this into 3 parts, and we're in the 3rd part. Attorney and inspection review, what's called AI. So in Illinois, we typically have a period of time, 7 days, where the seller agrees to the buyer's request to A, inspect the home, and B, have an attorney. Well, again, as I mentioned in part 2, while not required, it's highly strongly recommended. Folks, dealing with a binding legal contract, you gotta have an attorney, as simple as that. The attorney will sit down with the buyer and go through the actual contract. But before that, we wanna get that inspection. So inspection, what I like to do is I really like to get in there, get it as soon as possible, particularly if there was a property that was a little bit on the fence as far as condition. You know, just because a property isn't the best condition, that doesn't necessarily mean it's bad, but it's really that inspection that's really gonna be critical. So you wanna get in there, get the inspection. I have several inspectors, and feel free to reach out. I'm gonna post their information in the description, but really, you don't really contact them until after we're under contract. So again, that's gonna be just more for resource and informational purposes. So typically, inspectors that I work with, within 24 hours after the inspection, they will produce a detailed report. And any red line items or red flags that are raised that myself and your attorney probably look at, we want to have a conversation with you. It's been very rare that it's completely clean. So, and of course, if you have any questions you have, what I like to do is do a really quick conference call with 3 of us. We talk through those elements. And either we move forward, right, with no requests, or it's literally 3 options. We move forward with no requests. B, we ask the seller to make the repairs and pay, and by closing produce documents that prove that those repairs were done. Or C, we do a credit. So you cannot change the purchase price, and be very, very clear, is once the parties have agreed to the price, we're under contract, the purchase price doesn't change. However, if there is repairs that are needed, credits can be offered, or the seller can do the repairs themselves. So that's kind of where the concessions, and where we're technically, if it's a $300,000 agreed upon purchase price, but there was $10,000 worth of repairs, seller agrees to do all $10,000, and of course the net effect there, as you can see, is $290,000. However, from the purchase price perspective and what is recorded is $300,000. I hope that makes sense. Questions, feel free to ask. So that is the portion of the inspection. If both parties agree, then the actual attorney inspection review isn't completely done until both parties sign off. And so once both parties sign off, you are officially outside of a review. Now, the period of time of outside review until closing, really what I would like to mention now, for the purposes of kind of, you know, you guys are kind of probably still months away, and it's a lot of information being put at you, but I do want to mention, you know, I get asked a lot, okay, Anand, how can I get out of the contract? It's a little bit more than cold feet. You're going to have those fears, as I kind of mentioned. I kind of joked a little bit in the beginning, but if you're really truly like, I don't like this property, or for whatever reason, of course, if there's a real valid reason, of course, you need to communicate to me. There are stages you can get out. Of course, within the review, you know, there is earnest money, which is part of consideration that you have to do as a part of a deposit. It's not an addition. but it basically gets reduced from the total purchase price. So again, for example, $300,000 example, if you put 5% of earnest money, that $15,000, your remaining net is $285,000. Within the attorney review period, you really don't have to have, it could be for any reason, there should be some valid reason. You can, through your attorney, submit a notice to cancel the contract. As long as it's within the attorney period and both parties haven't signed off, you do have a right to that earnest money back. If it's outside of that, then a lot of it has to do with your loan. So for whatever reason you can get your loan approved, then of course that earnest money amount will not be lost. You legally can get it back. Again, I know it's a little confusing. Feel free to reach out on that. And that's kind of what I want to brush on for now. I hope you found the whole series beneficial. If you wanted to watch part 2, where I talked about the importance of the lender, feel free to go right here. And also, I produce so many other videos about the cost of living in Chicago, transportation in Chicago. I'm gonna have a playlist running probably in a couple of seconds for you to look there. So again, this is Anant Yoris with eXp Realty here serving the city of Chicago. I'm so proud of being in Chicago. If you have any questions at all, there's a contact form below. Feel free to reach out.